Think about the amount of people alive today who know Marcus Aurelius, not know his name, not know his works, know who he is as a person. The growing good of the world is partly dependent on unhistoric acts, and that things are not so ill with you and me as they might have been, is half owing to the number who lived faithfully a hidden life and rest in unvisited tombs. George Eliot. Call this anonymous greatness. Call this extraordinary people who look completely ordinary from the outside. Good friend of mine had his father pass recently, and we're chatting before he passed, and we were talking about just his father and some of the crazy things he did, crazy in a good way, crazy good things, because all good things are a little crazy, aren't they? And he was talking about the good things his father did to raise him up, the good father, his nobleness, his virtue, and how he helped him become the person he is today. And it really got me thinking, because to my friend, his father is everything, as most of our fathers are. But the world, sure, they know Taylor Swift, and they might know George Clooney, but they don't know my friend's father for the incredible person that he is. And George Eliot speaks to it in this quote on how most people that are extraordinary, no one's ever heard of. There are so many incredible people out there that maybe 100 people know about. And I'm going to get into why this is actually a very beautiful thing. There's also this Greek proverb, "A society grows great when old men plant trees in whose shade they shall never sit." And now there's something deeply moving about that idea that civilization as a whole is mostly carried by forgotten people doing small things faithfully. Even take within your own family tree. I have a father, as you all do as well, and I love and respect my father. And I love and respect his father, my grandfather. But then when you get to the great-grandfather, I mean, I've never really met him in any capacity that I can remember anyway. And then you get to my great-great-grandfather, and I maybe have heard his name a few times, but I don't really know anything about him. I don't know who he was as a person. And that's just a few generations. Now, what a humbling idea. What a humbling idea that you right now as a person, to you, you are the world. You are everything. You have this ego that says, I am the hero of this story. But in a few generations, no one's even going to remember your name. You think people are going to be listening to podcasts in 150 years and they're going to stumble upon the strong stoic? I don't think so. Maybe, but I don't think so. And so we're all very quickly forgotten. Except for a couple people. But those people are really rare. Marcus Aurelius, Jesus Christ, Seneca, Dostoevsky, even someone as famous and incredibly intelligent as Dostoevsky, a lot of people have no idea who he is. All that to say, there's so many lessons to unpack here. The first one being that most people live ordinary lives. And most virtuous people live ordinary lives that nobody even knows about. Small things done faithfully every day for a lifetime by thousands of people moves society forward. When you're planting trees for your children's children that you will never meet, or your children's children's children that won't even know your name, that's when society is great. And what a humbling thought to think that in 3 generations, we will be completely forgotten. I mean, if you're a single person right now and you're at the bus stop and there's this little cutie sitting down and you want to go up and talk to her and you want to ask her out on a date, but you can't do that because, God, it's going to be so embarrassing. There's this other person sitting there, and what if she rejects you or he rejects you, and then you're just embarrassed at this bus stop? You are going to be dead very soon, and you're going to be forgotten in 3 generations. If you're lucky, 3 generations. So why do you give a shit what this random person who you're probably never going to see again thinks about you getting rejected by this woman who you're probably also never going to see again? I mean, in my mind, this idea gives you a bit of courage that you can be a bloody fool because it doesn't really matter in the long term. Not saying that you should go around and be an unwise, unvirtuous villain, but don't be afraid to look stupid. You probably do look stupid to the cosmos, let's be honest, because we're all so lacking in wisdom. What a crazy thought to think about the cosmos observing you. But hey, man, the Stoics believed at the end of the day that the cosmos was alive, so I guess it kind of makes sense. So, big lesson number 1 is have a bit of courage in your day-to-day life and go after what you want to go after, because at the end of the day, you're going to be forgotten in 3 generations. No one's going to remember your name. Hey there. Let me thank you for being a listener to this ad-free podcast. If you enjoy the podcast, there are a few things you can do to help me out. A 5-star review on Spotify or wherever you're listening to this really does help, and it's free. You can also sign up for my Substack newsletter or Patreon. Substack free gets each episode emailed to you along with the transcripts in the form of an article. You'll also get access to my live talks, followed by a Q&A afterward. Substack Premium supporters and my patrons on Patreon get access to the recordings and a brief article of those Q&A sessions, access to full episodes of the Paradoxically Speaking podcast, my Steps to Success interview series, Stoic meditations, and much more. Links to Substack and Patreon can be found in the show notes. The fundamental lesson in that is live a virtuous life, period. Because that's the best way forward anyway, even though you're going to be forgotten in 3 generations. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit later to unravel why I think it's a beautiful thing. But that's lesson 1. Now I want to talk about one thing in particular in this category, and that is war. If you think about D-Day, all the young men and some women that went to war and just died at 18 years old. And their story is done. It's over. And we don't know any of their names, but they led society forward. They all made sacrifices so that we could have what we have today. And it's just crazy to think in our own head, in our own world, that we're so important, yet so many people sacrificed for us to get what we have now. And so there's a lesson in gratitude here also for your ancestors, in that anyone who's moved society forward has done you a solid, and they've done you a favor, and you should be grateful for that. And then, pointing to this idea of why you should be virtuous anyway, even though people will forget you, You get to move society forward for so many people that you haven't even met. Millions, billions, probably trillions of people if you think about the expanse of time and how long humanity is going to go on. You get to help move the world forward in ways that's going to affect so many people. So you get that opportunity. And not only is it okay that you're forgotten, isn't it kind of a noble thing? Isn't it noble to say, I can do a good act, I can live a good life, I can do small things faithfully throughout my whole day and my whole life, so to move civilization forward, and I don't need to be known to do the good deed. Isn't it more noble for you to do a good deed and not expect appreciation for it? To do a good deed, to do a good deed every day and live a good life and then die and be forgotten. I think there's a strong nobility in that. And I'm going to wrap up with the question I've been alluding to, which is why this is actually such a beautiful thing that we're forgotten. And that we are so momentary in time. I want you to think about Marcus Aurelius, and I want you to think of Winston Churchill. I want you to think of Jesus Christ, these names, these people that we are aware of, that a lot of people know. They know their name. And then I want you to think about how many people that you don't know their name in history. So you're dealing with such a small percentage of people whose name actually lasts history. And who knows if people will even know who Marcus Aurelius was in 2,000 years. Who the hell knows? Maybe he'll be forgotten by then. But think about how small of a percentage that is. And then think about the people who actually know who Marcus Aurelius was in terms of his philosophy, in terms of what he wrote, in terms of his historical letters that he wrote to his family, in terms of what he did as a Roman emperor. Think about the people who know historically who he was and who Jesus was and Winston Churchill, and pick whoever person you know. Think about how many people actually know the details of who they were and what they accomplished. And that's even in a smaller percentage. So you have people that, sure, they might know the name, but do they really know his works? A lot of people don't. A lot of self-proclaimed Stoics don't. And then you think about this, and this is where it gets to me. This is the most beautiful thing. This is the beautiful part that I was talking about. Think about the amount of people alive today who know Marcus Aurelius, not know his name, not know his works, know who he is as a person, know what it's like to sit in front of him, know what it's like to hang out with them, to have dinner with him, to joke around with him, to play sports with, to cry with, to have a fight with. Think about how many people today that are alive today that have any idea of what that was like. And the answer is zero. Not a single person alive today knows what it's like to hang out with Marcus Aurelius, to know his little idiosyncrasies. And that to me is a beautiful thing. Because what it means is that the only thing that really matters, we all know this deep down, the only thing that really matters is what you do while you're here, in this present moment. The only thing that really matters is your relationships with the people you interact with. And what a joy it is to realize that sure, maybe people know Marcus Aurelius' name, but nobody really knows who he was. Nobody. Think about the people that you are acquaintances with. Do they really know who you are as a person? Think about how many people alive today that knows who you are as a person, that fully understands you as a person. Very, very few people. And so what a gift to have close relationships. Not 1 trillion, not 1 billion, not 1 million, not 1,000, not 100, not 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Think about how beautiful it is to have anyone who knows you, who you are, to understand someone and to be understood. And this, I think, is the beautiful piece. Be a virtuous person, be a present person, be a good friend, be a good listener, be a good partner, be a good father, be a good son, be a good community member. Because ultimately, that's the only thing that really matters. Do you think it does Marcus Aurelius any good that people know his name, that they can pronounce his name? He's dead, as you and I will be very soon. So cherish the ones who you love and who love you. Because we're all here for such a very, very, very short period of time.